evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the world of Gaming Junkie News. The Dross actually lost favor with its audience and financially tanked, so there's nothing but pure gaming-related meatiness. It is 100% all about the electronic good stuff as we dive deep in all that's new in the various interactive virtual worlds. Starting off, we have the designers of Overwatch 2 apparently benched as at least one person complained that benches depicted in one level were based on New York benches. That is to say, having multiple armrests on them to discourage homeless people from sleeping on them. Now, I'm not here to get into a debate about how they're actually spending money on this instead of tackling the homeless problem. This is about the depiction in the game itself. Someone had a problem with its depiction, so Blizzard decided to remove the extra armrests in an update. You heard right, instead of working on balancing the characters or coming up with more fun content, they devoted extra time and resources to editing a 3D model of a bench that most people are just going to run past. Is this a big deal? No, not really, but it's interesting that they're trying to censor the depiction of something that actually exists. If it makes you uncomfortable, it seems like the issue is with the real world ones, not the fake ones. Also, in the Overwatch world, the homeless are apparently given adequate housing, so there's literally no reason for them to sleep on park benches anyway. But hey, that's just a little FYI. And so Ubisoft is pulling online services from slightly older games. Consequently, this also removes your access to DLC, as in DLC you actually paid for. Among them are Anno, several Assassin's Creed games, Driver San Francisco, Far Cry 3, Prince of Persia, The Forgotten Sands, Silver Hunter 5, Space Junkies, and Splinter Cell Blacklist. Space Junkies is a multiplayer-only title, so it'll just refuse to start at all. Considering you can still buy Space Junkies right now on Steam, it seems a little dirty. Honestly, this is why game streaming services that require game purchases, Google Stadia, are extremely risky. If the service ever goes, you can kiss it all goodbye. It's why video streaming services like Netflix and Disney Plus are basically rentals. Well, with some exceptions, which I wouldn't recommend going for this reason. It's better to have as much ownership over your property as you can. At least with digital releases, you can generally store it on a hard drive, so as long as it's not tied to an internet connection, you still have some control there. You can even use cracking tools to break into dependencies on things like Steam, something I think should be considered fully legal if you own the game in question. Please note that I am not making legal advice, I'm just offering my own personal opinion. Property that can be revoked anytime isn't really yours to own, is it? It's just yours to rent, so why are you paying full price for it? And to your left, you have EA once again trying to undermine single-player gaming. Oh, that's so nice. That's right, as if declaring single-player games dead over a decade ago wasn't enough, they made a tweet saying they're a 10, but they only like single-player games. Yeah, they're a 10, but they don't want EA shoving microtransactions into every port. You better dump that person immediately and use the winning money to buy more microtransactions. No, seriously, buy more microtransactions so we can continue lining our fat pockets, please. Now, to their slight credit, they made a follow-up tweet saying they'll take the L and liking single-player games actually makes them an 11. It's pretty obviously damage control, and it's still pretty obvious that they want single-player dead so they can push more live service games, but I'll give them credit for at least not making it worse. Let's face it, not everyone likes multiplayer games. Me personally, one of the few pure multiplayer games I played to any real degree is Team Fortress 2. Mostly because it tends to devolve into a hilarious mess, especially on casual servers, which I cling to. Let me give you some advice there, EA. Make good games and the money will come. Stuff like this only continues to cement your status in infamy, which will only hurt your bottom line. It may be said that any PR is good PR, but I'm pretty sure there's a limit to that, and I hope this isn't the kind of image you want. In other news, yet another news article was made saying why gamers are such horrible people. Now, normally I wouldn't pay too much attention to this kind of thing because they seem to be a dime a dozen nowadays for tone-deaf articles. You know the kind, the ones that act like literally all gamers are responsible for the worst for hate clicks, but the article writers themselves probably also belong to groups that have more than a few bad actors in them. Anyway, what makes this one so unique to me is that it was written for a website called TheGamer. You heard right, someone working for TheGamer says gamers are terrible people in the title of the article, at least as of the time of me writing this article. Okay, not gonna lie, this may be one of the funniest gamer news related things I have seen in quite a while. It really personifies that meme of don't trust anyone, not even yourself. Just so you know, game media as a whole, saying that gamers are all horrible isn't exactly how you retain your target audience here. There's a slight difference between saying there are people who call themselves gamers who do terrible things and gamers are terrible people. Considering the official definition of gamer is a person who plays video games or participates in role-playing games, do you really want to alienate that from your game-related website? You know, especially when it's literally called TheGamer. Never mind the EA single-player thing, the real L deserves to go to this for having such a hilariously out-of-tone article name. Speaking of reacting to mean people online, this isn't strictly video game focused, but I feel it's worth mentioning. As in, Japan is making posting online insults be a criminal offense. Apparently you can be fined up to 300,000 yen, which equates to around $2,200. Front Story reports that it will be re-examined to determine if it affects freedom of speech in 3 years. So basically, for at least 3 years, you better not say anything mean online if you live in Japan. It seems even Japan isn't immune to insanity, to be honest. According to this, calling the leader of Japan an idiot could fall under this, and that's where things start getting pretty terrifying. The crackdown started after a reality television star Hana took her own life after receiving online abuse. While that's a very sad story, I don't think that's a justification to jeopardize freedom of speech. Especially not when online harassment can be avoided by blocking them or simply turning off the device in question. You follow this trail of thinking where certain speech that isn't a call to action can be criminalized, you're going to end up in a dictatorship where the rulers will decide that mocking them is dangerous speech. If you don't think it could possibly happen, we're already rapidly getting to that point. Quick reminder that 1984 was a warning, not an instruction manual. So, after 11 years, Skyrim finally has workable ladders! Welcome to 1998, when the original Half-Life offered just that. What's that, Sonny? You think Bethesda added this to their latest version of Skyrim or somehow made it a free patch for all versions? Well, sorry, but you're out of luck for expecting such a thing from Bethesda. Nope, as with many things related to Bethesda games, modders have come to the rescue. Among other things, Everglades animated traversal mod allows you to climb ladders. It does far more than just that, of course. It adds a lot to your traversal options in general, but the focus of this article seems to be on the ladders. At long last, you can turn Skyrim into a platforming game, which honestly sounds like it could open the door to many good things. I'm imagining a Tomb Raider type of game built around this engine, and the prospect of it is pretty exciting, to tell you the truth. Even on its own, it's a very cool addition, but I imagine the real value will be how other modders take advantage of it. After all, the world of Skyrim wasn't exactly made with this in mind, but just think of the kind of dungeons or other kind of quests you can make with this. I can't wait to see what else the modding community has up its sleeves. So a real mad lad paid over $40,000 just to ask Nintendo about the possibility of FZero. Okay, technically he bought Nintendo stock and you need a minimum of 100 to attend the shareholder meeting to possibly ask questions. Mumiji, the stock buyer in question, was fortunate enough to get the ear of Nintendo's president, Shintaro Furukawa. Mr. Furukawa is quoted as saying, "It is realistically difficult to develop new titles and remakes, including sequels for every Nintendo game that people request." However, he adds, "But we are very grateful and appreciate the expectations our fans have for our games." It's an interesting answer, and I've heard it said Nintendo tends to only revive old franchises if they can come up with creative new ways to utilize them. For instance, Star Fox Zero attempted to make creative use of the gamepad, and people generally agreed it was creatively kinda bad. Or at the very least, the gamepad hurt more than help is the general consensus. Sadly, it seems the best F-Zero fans will have to look forward to is sci-fi elements in Mario Kart. That's probably the main reason F-Zero isn't being made, because it seems redundant when you can just throw elements of that into Mario Kart. It's a real shame, though, that there are franchises like this that are so abandoned. And I thought being a Metroid fan was hard. At least we're still getting games every once in a while. Chin up, though, F-Zero fans. Maybe your time in the sun will come. And if not, there's always fan content, or just other games like Wipeout. And as always, from the page of Games Radar, it's time for the latest round of release dates fresh out of the oven. Just like last time, there's not many, so I'm combining the 2 weeks. The 7th has Matchpoint Tennis Championships for the 6 major platforms and Ruins Magus for PC and Quest. The 8th has AI The Somnium Files Nirvana Initiative in Europe for the Old Band of 4, in addition to Clonia Fantasy Revriere series for the 6 major platforms. The 12th has XEL for PC, and the 13th has Rune Factory 5 for PC. Finally, the 14th has Clanfolk for PC and XEL for Switch. This week's epic freebie until next Thursday is another 2-for-1 special. You've got Ancient Enemy, an RPG fought with cards, and Killing Floor 2, a slaughter shooter. And as always, that rounds out this news week. I do hope you enjoyed and were well enough informed. As always, I Let's Play every single day, 10 a.m. and 2 p.m, live stream Mondays and Thursdays unless otherwise specified at 4:30 p.m, and I now do news videos every week, Friday at 6 p.m. And of course, that's all in Eastern Standard Time. If you're a real junkie for video games like I am, then feel free to hit that subscribe and bell icon to get your next fix. A like and a comment are always appreciated, but I just hope you genuinely enjoyed yourself, and that is it for now. Thank you so much for tuning in with me. Spread this video around like tone-deaf news articles, and I will see you next time. Capitalize on life, peace out, have a good one, and I will see you next time.